All right, welcome to episode 2 of Casey Needs a Co-host, Zoomvivor edition. This is the preseason podcast where we'll be going through the last 9 castaways for this season. Today, my co-host is James, creator and host of Zoomvivor. How you doing today, James?
Doing great. Thank you for asking.
All right, so I think we should just kind of hop right into it. We did the first 9 2 days ago, and now we'll be finishing off. So first up is Ken, 24-year-old female from the Philippines who is an account executive. So what are your thoughts on Ken?
With Ken, I actually played with her a couple of times. Um, one of which she ended up pre-purge, and the other she ended up in the jury. Um, Basing from her playstyle, she kind of describes herself, or most people describe herself as a social butterfly. She's very social. She gets a lot of people. She has a way with her words that is so baffling to me as well, because she's very charming in her own ways, and um, she has this. Her social game is more like something like she gets to you emotionally, so you kind of will gravitate towards her on an emotional level and trust her more. So I think that's one of her best assets coming into a game like this.
Yeah, it was really interesting looking at her forum. She's as she describes herself, a soft-spoken leader. But one of my favorite things is that she says, "My bitchy side lies dormant, and I'm a ticking time bomb. And when I explode, there's beauty." Like, I just love the way that was phrased. And I'm really curious to see if she really is a ticking time bomb because I would love to see that explosion in this season. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I mean, it does seem like from, what I could see in her past org experience, she does have quite a bit of experience making it far. I mean, I did see the thing where you said she made it pre-merge, but her other ones, she was the runner-up and she made it to day 38, assuming in a 39-day org. So I mean, that would probably put her at, final 4, or if it was a final 2, she would be in the final 3 for that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not a ton that I can go off of in these forms, but from what I see, I think I kind of like her right now.
Yeah, she's very likable. I mean, her personality is very bubbly. She's comedic in a sense. So we're excited about that for her. And she kind of is in the middle between being a hero and a villain, but she can prove to be very chaotic as a player. So I'm very excited to see her side to being like putting chaos into the game.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm excited to see her play. Moving on to the next person, we have Keira, who's 21 years old, a student. Um, Trying to actually remember her interview. I remember watching her interview, but I can't remember where she's from right now.
She is from Albany, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. She had an interesting personal story. I don't know how much, I'll really go into it. I don't know if it's, really private, but she's adopted. She went into an international school, so she is more than familiar with people of all different backgrounds from around the world, which could very well help her in this game for this season specifically. Um, I don't think she really has too much experience playing orgs. If I remember correctly, it really was literally the day the lockdown happened here in the States that she got accepted into her first org as she first started playing her first org. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, she like I think I was really just more so invested in her personal story. What do you think?
Yeah, and as well, yeah, she has a very interesting background, being Indian, and getting in touch also with her Indian heritage, and now living in the States. She has a very good backstory to revolve around, and I think she might use that to her advantage in this game. Also, her playing a lot of Big Brother orgs and this being her first Survivor org. So I think this is gonna be um, a big change for her, perhaps, because I mean, even if Big Brother and Survivor are kind of similar in their own ways, um, Survivor is still a totally different platform and still a totally different game. So I'm very curious to see how she'll adapt to the game.
Yeah, it was also interesting when she was talking about her watch history with the shows, despite her org experience, which as you did say was predominantly or if not completely Big Brother. She only actually watched a couple seasons of Big Brother, and she's only watched I believe she said about 10 seasons of Survivor. So that was really interesting. The show she watched the least of is what she's predominantly played.
Yeah, I know. Like it's very interesting to see, and I'm very interested also to find out how she'll fare in the game like this, given that there's also some social politics involved. So yeah, I mean, I don't wanna. If she can go really really far, or she can go like very very early. So we can never tell.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It is always really hard to gauge where these people are going to end up. I mean, even when cuz I host my own Survivor Fantasy League, and I mean, you never know. We just go off those preseason interviews, and I mean, sometimes you kind of get close to where people are going to end up, and other times you won't. I think the only time I was ever right about a sole survivor was Edge of Extinction. And I was actually really upset when he first got voted out, Chris, but then he ended up winning. And then because of his victory, I won Fantasy League. But yeah, I mean, you can never tell. It's just really difficult because you have some people that are just all talk. And when they get down to it, they're nothing, they're duds. I hope that's not the case for any of these people this season. Um, but of what little she did talk about her actual gameplay, she did mention that, she'll call people out, um, from a like a morality standpoint. Like if she sees something wrong, she'll call it out, which is always admirable. I really like that. So she talked about that first, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, she's probably going to be a hero. But then she goes on, and from what little, once again, that she talked about her gameplay, she's like, yeah, I'm a little shy, but then as the game goes on, I just start all this drama, like I'm a villain. Like I'm like, whoa, I was not expecting that at all. So I mean, I'm really hoping that I get to see something big from her, but you never know. I mean, that could really cause her to be, a middle game boot, but you don't know.
Yeah, I agree because I was kind of surprised to hear that from a very shy, introverted girl, such as Kira. But yeah, it just goes to show that people really step out of their comfort zones when you play these kinds of games, and it's very interesting to see how personalities unfold and how gameplay is unfolding as we play games like Survivor or any other org.
Yeah. And I mean also, yeah, I mean like that's the thing. Sometimes you will have people that step out of that. And I think part of it is that sort of behind the computer effect, granted most people when they start to be someone they're not, their face is not actually shown. But I think some people, they take that on because yeah, you might be able to see my face, but you're never really going to know who I am or where I live or whatnot. So yeah, they might develop this, alternative persona. So that should be really interesting.
I
Um,
agree.
moving on to our next person. I hope I pronounced his name correct. Costas,
It's
from
cost us, yes.
Costas, 28-year-old resident general surgeon from Greece. Um, his interview, I don't even remember much of what he put on the forums, but I loved his interview. He was something, I'll tell you, and I really expect something good from him this season.
Yeah, us too, because he has this, I don't know, his personality was just so memorable. He's just so likable. I mean, from the moment he talked in our interview, he's just a breath of fresh air to say the least. So yeah, and him being a surgeon and as well as someone who is from Greece, he kinda is someone you will automatically root for because of Zoomvivor being not usually a season of Filipinos and Americans.
Yeah, and you know what? He said something during his interview that I absolutely loved. It almost made me clap. That's how much I loved it. He said, when I believe it was you who were conducting the interview, you asked him, if him being a surgeon, because obviously it's a lot of schooling to be, in the medical field, if that was going to really factor in. He didn't bullshit you. He just straight up said, no, like, that's great. I love when you have people that say stuff like that. He was honest. Like, what the hell is that really going to do? Yeah, like I'm smart, I'm a surgeon, but that's not going to help me in this game. And as I think I've said before too, in these types of orgs, it's your social side that really carries you more than anything. I mean, obviously you need a bit of the strategic. You could bomb competitively and still win. I mean, you even see that in Real Survivor. You have someone like Sandra who fucking sucks in challenges, but she's won twice, you know? But yeah, he was interesting. I really liked him. He was funny, he was honest, he had a little bit of this nerdy side, but he's also this, gamer, both in the video game sense and in this org sense. Um, he also mentioned he was short-tempered, which was something even though he admitted it about himself, I didn't get that at all from him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't look like he's someone who is short tempered. I think he rather looks like someone who will laugh off or just brush off something if something frustrates him. But given that it's very, I don't know, Costas is just such a character to us. He is very, charming, and he has this sense of charisma that is just so infectious that you just wanna talk to, and he's funny as well. I mean, what more won't you what more would you ask for?
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. I really hope people give him a chance, and I feel like they will give him a chance, and I think he'll quickly make great social connections that should take him far into this game.
I agree, and especially him being the only person from Greece. I think that will help him a lot because, of course, even if this is a game of numbers, and even if he is a minority, people may look at him as someone who is a potential number coming in, just so that we won't see another all Filipino or all American alliance coming into a game. So that might be an advantage. I mean, even if let's say we have six Filipinos coming in this season or six Americans, we may never know. They might turn against each other because of the additional countries or the nationalities that will be playing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's kind of all about him, but yeah, I really like him so far. He might be among my favorite for the last 9. All right, moving on. Our next person we have is Manu, who is 25 years old. He is from Paraguay, and I don't really remember what he did. The only thing that I really remember is he did talk about his internship.
Yeah, Manu is actually creative, so he's a writer. He works in advertising, so he does a lot of those writing, photos, photography, videography,
Photography.
things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, now that you say that, I completely remember that. Yeah. So he had his internship where he worked with people from all different countries. Yeah, he does his marketing stuff, which I remember he was talking about his office in his bedroom. He does his photography, which I remember he was saying he's the black and white. And so yeah, I mean, from kind of what I've gathered, I don't know how much of a strategic player he's going to be, but the social side of him, which once again is probably the most important portion, is going to be his strength in this game. And in what I kind of think about for myself, I generally get along with everyone of many different backgrounds, which is something he himself specifically said is one of his strengths. Um, he was interesting. He did say that he might be too loyal though, and that might actually cost him, which I could be mixing him up with Will, but actually I'm mixing up with Will because Will did say that's what actually cost him one of his victories. Um, But yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem like he's gonna be a bitter player. It seems like he's gonna be a social player, pretty easygoing. Could see him being one of the more heroic characters of this season. Um, Not seeing anything super colorful about his personality in the interview, though.
Mhm.
I don't know how you felt about any of that.
I think he's gonna be more of someone who will be more like a male Parvati. So you remember how Gage played, like he used mostly his looks to get people to his side. So I think Manu may use that as well. We'll never know. But I think basing as well from his reputation in the Latin org community, he's known to be someone who is very, like a male Parvati. So we may see that in the game. It depends if he gets, I guess, some of the female players perhaps, and or some of the male players probably. So we'll never know. I mean, Manu is gonna be, I think, more reliant on his social game. I haven't seen him perform in challenges yet, but I think in Zoomvivor, everyone has a shot of winning challenges
Yeah.
just because the challenges are not as hard as Real Survivor, but is easy enough to be done by anyone. So yeah, so I think Manu will become someone who's very social in the game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He was the shirtless promo pick.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
you are.
okay, alright, it's all clicking now. I'm sure everyone else will whenever this gets uploaded, everyone else will see the shirtless pic as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess on that note, we're gonna move on to the next castaway. Our next castaway is Ming, 22 years old. She's from the Philippines, and she is in tech support, although I believe she, fashions herself as a singer, if I remember correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, she was another one who I got pretty big hero vibes from. Um, Bigger than Ken, but I believe she fashioned herself also as a villain, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know quite what to make of Ming. I don't think I don't think Ming will at all disappear into the background.
I don't
Whether
think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whether she's out first or whether she makes it to the end, I think you will know Ming
Yes, definitely.
100%. She's not gonna let you not know her name. So, I mean, she described herself as a trailblazer too, and I believe she is, experienced in the org community too, is that right?
Yes, she has no experience so far. This is
Oh,
gonna be her
no
first game.
experience.
No.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
my
so
mistake.
she, yeah, she was but she is she has experience with reality shows because she was part of the Philippine franchise of American Idol. So
Hmm.
she was also the first trans woman to be on reality TV for the Philippines. So I think that's she wears it as a badge of honor, being a pioneer, and like that's why I guess she used the word trailblazer. So so I think she's gonna be more upfront in terms, or she's gonna be very very prideful in wearing her flag and her sexuality and her representation, uh and yeah, but in terms of game, I don't know what to expect out of her yet, but i'm just uh I'm just sure that she will be um someone memorable. I'm very sure that she will be remembered whether or not she goes out first or she makes it far.
Yeah, definitely. I guess one of the last things that I really have to say is when she was being interviewed, I think of all the interviews that I had watched for the 18, and not everyone had interviews. Some people it was just the forums, but she mentioned strategy quite a bit. There was probably only one other person that mentioned strategy, but that definitely stood out to me. I mean, There's not a ton of notes that I have on Ming, but the notes that I have definitely pop, and the strategy portion was one of it.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
all right. Well, actually, moving on to the other strategy person, our next castaway is Sherry, who is 53 years old from North Carolina and is a high school principal. Although I believe she doesn't prefer principal, she prefers director, if I remember correctly.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, she's played orgs before. It seems like she's played quite a bit of orgs. Do you know anything about her previous org history?
Yeah, I mean, out of all of the players, she has the most experience playing, and she has the. I mean, comparing it to Brian, I guess, who has won his two games. Sherry, on the other hand, has played a lot of games. She has won some, but she has been queening every time. She has described herself as a badass bitch in terms of the org world because a lot of people are scared of her. And a lot of people really just resonate towards her. So I guess that's one of the biggest things that's good about Sherry in terms of watching her. But as a player, if you're gonna play with Sherry, I guess it's best to vote her off like very, very early and not let her make the merge.
Yeah, I mean, she also had the longest interview, I believe, of anyone. Um, she Yeah, so she does mention her strategy quite a bit, which she also mentions herself as a bit of a hero, and or not as a bit, she describes herself as a hero. And she's loyal, but her strategy seems so manipulative that I don't really get hero. Heroes don't really manipulate people. Um, it was also really funny, and this is not to knock her at all because she actually seems like a really fun person, and she seems very, very admirable, someone should look up to, and I'll get to that point in a minute from her personal life. But it's really funny because I just thought it was funny that she mentioned she's a listener. She'll listen to your problems, and that's what she prefers. But man, is she a talker. um,
I
I know you were
agree.
I know you were conducting the interview, James, but she did not let you talk all that much.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the purpose of the interview, just for her to like talk and talk and talk. And man, she just used all of the time. She just made sure she puts everything in that interview. But I mean, that's what just makes me more excited about her because um she's gonna tell everything. I mean, she's not gonna hide everything from us. And from a producer standpoint, it's just so exciting to have someone like that who is not afraid to spell anything or to be blunt about anything. So, and I'm just waiting. She mentioned in her interview that she has her famous whiteboard that everyone in the art community knows about her. So I'm very excited to see that from her as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she clearly is a more visual person if she's got to map out, everything. But I mean, that's just part of her calculating side. I mean, from, going back to her strategies, she's very she is manipulative. She's a suggestive player. She's sort of a confidence woman. She goes in, she puts these ideas out there. She guides your conversation into thinking that it was your idea. She'll strike things down subtly and then make you think, "Oh, this is the best plan," because it is the best plan for her, you know? So, I mean, she's interesting. I don't really get hero vibes. I get, maybe an anti-hero, maybe a little bit villainous. I'm not quite sure where she'll fall. But yeah, I actually wanted to touch upon her personal side. She started a private school, essentially to, um school those who don't quite fit in all spectrums of life, whether they're being bullied, just everything. And I mean, I couldn't even do it justice the way she described it. And that's kind of, I believe, in sort of the beginning of her interview. She definitely seems like she is a role model. She's the exact type of person people should look up to in life. Um, yeah, I wonder if, she'll take sort of a teacher Deb approach to this, because I mean, Deb had some good plans in her season. And I think to an extent people felt bad for Deb because they didn't want to vote out someone who was older, so she kind of used that to her advantage. Not a whole lot of the mom role, but Sherry, on the other hand, did say she could and sometimes has taken on a mom role, I believe. So,
Yeah, I agree. I kind of see a little bit of teacher depth from her, wherein you like her so much you don't want her to you don't wanna vote her out. But I think that's gonna be the test for the players if they're gonna feel that about her, and that's gonna be also a tool for Sherry as well. Is she gonna be using that for her advantage? Is she gonna disregard the differences between age and stuff? So it's very curious. I'm very curious to see because uh there's a lot what how do I phrase this right? There's a lot of expectations for Sherry from myself just based off of the um interview and her experience. So I'm very excited to see her play.
definitely, definitely. All right, moving on to our next castaway. We have Simon, who I actually don't have really any information on. I've seen Simon's promo picture. I know he's 18 and he's from Vietnam. What can you tell me about Simon there, James?
So Simon is a student from Vietnam. He's currently based in um, Switzerland, studying university there. So right now he is studying. Has I think he has a scholarship there as well. That's why he's in Europe. He has played international games, but this is I think gonna be the first time he'll be playing on a Zoom based platform. So he is very, how do I say this? He's very charming, I guess. He has he has this charm that you just want to take care of him because he's young. But I know we have had some issues with regards to casting younger people, but in the previous seasons. But right now, since he's already 18, so it's basically not a minor anymore. So I think that covers all of our bases in terms of casting wise. So we won't have any problems with regards with consent and potentially having to discuss sensitive topics in the game as the game progresses between the players. So there's not gonna be any problems about that as well. Uh Simon. I don't know, but Simon seems like a rootable underdog, I think.
Hmm. All right, well, yeah, I'm excited to see what Simon's got. I wish I had like something, about him, but yeah, the young thing does sometimes worry me. But you're right. I mean, he's 18. He's no longer a minor, so hopefully, things. Yeah, I mean, well, I'll just leave it at that. We'll move on to the
Okay.
next person. Next person, I actually also don't have any information on. It's Stephanie, who is 39 years old. I don't know what she does, where she's from, or anything. What can you tell me about Stephanie?
So Stephanie is a hotel manager. She is in the US. She's based in the US. And she's a she's a female character in a sense that she's kind of eccentric, kind of like if you're gonna if I'm gonna give her a vibe from a previous player, someone like Missy, um, who is a bit eccentric, a bit but also knows how to play the game, and he's very expressive in her own way. Because I have talked to her quite a for quite some time about the game, and she kind of expressed in some sense how she's planning to play. She's planning to play a very under the radar but very manipulative game, sort of like Sherry minus the social presence. So it's gonna be very interesting if she will be like the uh antithesis, I guess, of Sherry probably, or yeah, or I don't know, because Stephanie, I don't know much about her game yet, and she's kind of like a wild card in a sense. So I'm just gonna not expect anything from her in a gameplay sense. I just want her to surprise me.
All right. Well, I guess on that note, we'll move on to our final castaway, who has so far been another favorite of mine in the bottom nine. We have Will, who is 39 years old, also from the United States, and is a flooring specialist, which I believe he described as kind of a boring job, but it gets the bills paid. What can you tell me about Will?
So apart from being a flooring specialist, Will is a Navy vet. So so he has that under his belt, and he has been playing for quite some time, and he has been hosting some orgs as well. Will is someone who you can describe as um, very outspoken, who is very straightforward, and yeah, and also with the Will being someone who is African American, I think he's gonna be bringing a different um, storyline in terms of representation, and just because we're just we're trying to build a more diverse cast from season 5 and beyond. So I think Will is a great introduction to a new culture in this game.
Yeah, definitely. He of all the interviews was also one of the more telling interviews, which I believe his application, I guess he was recommended by Edward, who I'm sure we all know here. But yeah, I mean, he because he was in the Navy, he's traveled around the world, so he's, no stranger to different backgrounds and different cultures. He first started playing in the org community when it 2015. And it wasn't until 2016 that he actually won his first org, which I believe he says to this day he now has 10 wins, which is pretty good. And he says that he switches between both villain and hero, uh, just kind of depends on his mood. So should be very interesting. And I know he does like the drama. Um, I believe as of the interview, which probably was a few weeks to a month ago at the most, he was currently in a Big Brother org, which he was in the final 8, but on the chopping block. I'm kind of curious how that turned out, for him. Um,
Yeah, me too. I never heard about the game anymore, but if the memory serves me right, he was in final 8. So I guess that's very telling of how good he is to play. So he mostly makes it far. I think he'll try to do the same thing for Zoomvivor, but who knows? We'll just have to see.
yeah. I mean, aside from Sherry, he definitely has probably the most experience of most of these people in this season.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was also interesting. I think I mentioned it. No, I definitely mentioned it earlier. I'm actually blanking on who I was talking to. Might have been Manu. But yeah, one of his like, first near victories when he was first playing, he actually completely lost because of loyalty. I can't remember exactly how he said the story, but it kind of reminded me of like a Wu Tony situation. He chose loyalty, and in the end, it kind of fucked him. But he has said he has learned from that, and now, I think that's why he's become a better player, and he's got 10 wins under his belt, and why he makes it so far. And then he was, going on about Survivor and old school versus new school, and he said he always liked to think of himself as old school, but he now sees him as a more adaptable new school type person. One of my favorite parts of his interview was that he described himself as the black bitch poverty. uh, which I don't. It just took me off. Like at the time that he was saying it, I was not expecting those words to come out of his mouth, but I thought that was really funny. So I mean, let's see, him, sneak into this game, cause a bunch of drama, and flirt his way to the end, and maybe he'll have an 11th win under his belt. I definitely think he is one of the more he's one of the players more so to look out for this season, and I'm sure will definitely be leaving this game with everyone knowing his name. So I'm
Definitely,
excited for
yeah.
Will. You
He's
have
gonna be a
anything?
fan fave, definitely.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, whether he plays as a hero if he feels like playing as a hero, or whether he's a likable villain, yeah, definitely people will be leaving, or he'll be leaving the game with many fans, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Um, but I think that's more or less it for Will. He Will also had one of the longer interviews too, which was not daunting to get through at all. It was very much entertaining from beginning to end. But yeah, for the final 9, do you have any other thoughts on the final 9 here?
I mean, it's a great final nine. I mean, this season, it's just so hard to tell. I mean, everyone is bringing something so new in the game, and everyone seems to be so rootable in a sense. Everyone, there's no exception to whoever out of all of the 18 people we have talked about. As a host, I'm very excited. As a viewer as well, I will be very excited for the audience because this is a very diverse cast and we have a strong group of people. So we'll just have to see in the game how that will pan out. But I think it's gonna be a very good season.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very much excited. Going forward with these seasons, I feel like as the seasons go on, we are getting more and more characters. Um, don't get me wrong, I still love the third season. The third season I will forever remember for its great gameplay. The second season had a bit more of the drama and more defined characters, most of which did not feel very forced, which felt very natural. This season, I can't really tell. I mean, they're all more so characters than the other season, and for that reason, I think people will love this season coming up. I just really hope that there's good gameplay too. We got good characters last season, good gameplay the third season. Let's bring them together for something even more amazing than we've had before. So I'm very much excited for this season.
Me too. I'm very excited about this. I mean, this is the reason why we had these kinds of people come in this season, just so that we can try to combine characters and gameplay, which we both had in two separate seasons respectively. So yeah, let's just hope that these characters or players deliver.
Yeah, I'm excited. I guess on that note, we will end it there. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I guess we'll see you guys at the first podcast for the first episode. Have a good night.